Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with Dave's Faves, episode 16, I think. Wow, we're moving along, and that's the idea here. I want to shove in, as I said before, a whole pile of these things so that you have a bunch of stuff to browse through and enjoy, hopefully, and sample yourself. And today we're talking about Brahms Symphony No. 3, which I have sitting over here. It's over here somewhere. Up there it is. Got it. Yeah, Brahms Symphony No. 3. I've talked a lot about this symphony, and one of the reasons is because I just love it so much. And the other reason is because it's the one that most conductors screw up. Even conductors who are really, really good at Brahms, they usually blow No. 3. And I really have a hard time understanding why. Probably because it's the one that needs the least interference from the conductor. You really sort of just wind it up and let it go. And if you pick the right tempos and don't mess with them too badly, you're going to be in really good shape. The one thing you do need to do is pay particular care with balances and texture, especially in the tutti sections, that is when everyone's playing together, because it has some of Brahms' most glorious orchestration and some of his absolute worst. It really does. And so people are tempted to tinker. The idea is not to tinker. The idea is to secure clarity, rhythmic clarity. It's particularly difficult because it's a tricky piece. The first movement is in like 6/4, which is one of those compound meters where all kinds of difficult things can happen depending on what's going on in any individual part. And, the finale ends quietly, which is, of course, a big no-no. It's like, the quiet ending. No, we mustn't play the symphony. As a result of that, it's hard to program this symphony live. I mean, most people don't like to end concerts quietly, unless you're doing something like Mahler 9, which ends quietly after a whole huge, long exordium. And so it has that feeling of hushed inevitability. But this symphony is Brahms' shortest. It's only about half an hour long, maybe a little more if you take the exposition repeat in the first movement. And as a result of that, what do you do with it? It's a little too short to end a concert. I think that's wrong, by the way. Or you put it on the first half, which I think is an excellent idea because the orchestra's fresh, the audience is fresh, and you can play it with the necessary concentration and intensity without tiring people out. And I think that's just fabulous. That's how I heard it done, the best I've ever heard it done, which was with the National Symphony in Washington under Rafael Frubeck de Burgos. He played it on the first half and just blew the roof off the piece. It was stunning. The second half was Carmina Burana, believe it or not. And it was not an anticlimax, the Brahms, not in any way, shape, or form. But that said, pacing and texture and balance and all of those things seem to be such a big problem for so many conductors. And the ones who do it best are the ones who had a tendency not to futz, not to mess with the music. And those are like Klemperer, for example. Claudio Abbado did a surprisingly good one in his great Berlin Philharmonic Brahms cycle. The people who get the third right, Dochnani, are the ones who tend to be, hands-off conductors anyway. But the all-time best Brahms third, and the one that I am taking with me to my grave, because I'll probably wind up there before I get to the desert island, is Bruno Walter with the Columbia Symphony. Now, Columbia has two of these. He's got one with the New York Philharmonic, which is blisteringly, insanely fast. I mean, it really is. It's amazing. He gets through it in, I think, under half an hour. It's really stunningly quick, and really too quick, actually, when you get right down to it. But it's fun to listen to once or twice, But boy, oh boy, this is just perfect. It is perfect. It's wonderfully well recorded. The orchestral playing is just terrific. The pacing is absolutely ideal. And Bruno Walter, who was, after all, a contemporary of Brahms for at least some of his life, just puts more wisdom and love and warmth and all the things Walter was known for, humanity and Gemütlichkeit, but at the same time, it has urgency, it has ferocity in those climaxes in the finale, it has rhythm, in the first movement. Oh my God, it has everything going for it. And frankly, after hearing this performance, all of the other ones sort of pale in comparison, in my humble opinion, however great they are, and there's some great ones. Fortunately, with other great ones, when you listen to them, you don't think it could be done any other way. So you don't realize that they're paling in comparison. But, my job is to do comparisons. And I really think that this is simply one of the greatest recordings anybody ever made of anything. And it will turn you on to Brahms' Third in a way that no other performance will, I think, because it has such a sense of inevitability. You just put it on, sit back, and when it's over, you're just going to look up and say, "Ooh, what was that? Let's do it again." And you very well may. The only thing I could say against it that may annoy some of you is that Walter never took exposition repeats. And that doesn't bother me a bit, because Brahms always said that exposition repeats were only there until people knew the music. And then you can do whatever you want. You can take them or not take them, but they're less necessary. Composers back in the day were a lot more respectful of the rights of audiences and artists, conductors, to shape the work in whatever way was the most effective. And God knows Walter knew how to do it. He really, really knew. This is one of the great achievements in the history of recorded sound, and I recommend it to you accordingly. And if you don't like it, I don't care, because it's my favorite, which is the whole point of this set of talks. I'm going to stick it under my pillow and sleep with it. That's how good it is. It really is just amazing. So keep on listening, folks. Thanks so much for joining me. Enjoy your Bruno Walter Brahms Third. Take care.